Good morning and welcome to Ask the Accountant, part of the Ask the Accountant Network, a podcast network for accountants and bookkeepers supported by our Patreon community. And before I even introduce our host, we'll introduce the most important people, and that is that community. So please say a big welcome to Peter Richardson, Mahul, Kirsty St. John, and Paul Whitehouse. And if you also want to support our channels and all the content we're creating, and also get some bonus content, then join our coveted list by joining on the Patreon page with the links below. So it is Monday morning. What's up, Aaron?
Your intro has been absolute fire. It says, always read from the bottom.
Well, put it in order.
You were smashing it up at absolutely 10 out of 10 stuff. And then you had to miss that one vital bit, right?
If you're going to put it in the wrong order for a dyslexic person, what do you expect? Cool. Anyway, Aaron, as the good people will have just heard there, you've got a poorly throat. What have you been up to?
Well, as a party captain, I was I was ensured to make sure that the party carried on in a fruitful manner. Going through that. No, I'll let Johann explain more because I think it'll come better from him. The fact that his voice is working and mine isn't. But we've been to Ash's wedding, and it was a thoroughly brilliant time. And one of those we put some posts up, haven't we? Well, you guys have, and it just felt like a really full circle moment of everything, hasn't it? So it was a really good moment. Ash and Charlotte, amazing day and all that sort of stuff. And you've still got time there, haven't you? So I'll let you talk about it more.
Yeah. So myself and the good lady Claire, we decided to stay until we're going to head back on Wednesday. We've made a bit of a break out of it. Being a history buff, having never been to Hastings and the key pivotal part that played in English and UK history, I wanted to go and visit the battlefield, visit the abbey that was built after the battle, and just have a look around the area because it's not an area we've been to before. So we thought, right, we'll tag on a few more days, which is why I'm not in the office today. I'm doing this before I go for another day of exploring. But yeah, what a weekend. Absolutely fantastic weekend. Ash and Charlotte had a fantastic day. It was, everything you'd want out of a wedding. Blue sky, sunshine, really nice group of people there to celebrate and witness it. And for ourselves and Ash and Peter and Andy, like some of the earlier parts of the team, to be there and spend some time together in a non-work meeting environment was just, really nice. Really enjoyed that. So thank you very much to Ash and Charlotte for the invite. We all had a fun time, and the party captain over there was the life and soul of the party, dancing and singing along, at times louder than the disco, hence having no voice today.
Yeah, that's what happens, isn't it? Also got to shout out the bingo. I thought the bingo was brilliant, wasn't it? I had a little bingo bongo option. And...
yeah, they did a little bingo bongo thing after the main meal, which was fantastic fun.
Got to watch the Ash's dog walk down the aisle. That was a personal highlight.
Yeah, sewn in like a tuxedo to Wilson's harness. It was very good. It was lots and lots of little things that just added up to an amazing weekend.
Congratulations to them both.
Absolutely. So let's jump in and say good morning to all those that are here live watching us this morning. So good morning to Kirsty St. John. Sunny here in March, Cambridgeshire. Good. That's what we like. Cheryl says, good morning. Hope you all had a relaxing weekend. Relaxing. I enjoyed it. Some people enjoyed it too much.
Yeah.
Good morning to bookkeeping. Suzanne says good morning. Paul says morning all. Paul Ingram says good morning. It's on this sunny day in Wiltshire. Lovely. Mahal says good morning everyone from London. Hope you had a great weekend. I think we did, thank you. And Lisa Mullihan says good morning. Wonderful. Right. We've got news. We've got things to get into. So let's crack on. So our first point is we want to do a quick follow-up of our discussion last week on annual declarations, just to tie these two episodes together. So within hours of us coming off air, and this is again the influence we have on our industry, within hours of us coming off air and saying, it's disappointing to say so few softwares having a final declaration available other than basically Free Agent. Craig from HMRC went straight to social media and posted to confirm that Free Agent, Untied, Thomas Reuters, aka CCH, and Open Answers have all got live annual declaration solutions. TaxCalc also confirmed to me on Wednesday that their solution for this will be live in the June update, or the summer update, which is kind of the last couple of weeks of June normally. And interestingly, 57 declarations have been done for the beta year of 25-26. 80% of those have been done from Free Agent. So, yeah, huge congratulations to Free Agent for getting that done. My concern is the rest who have been doing beta filings, their users seem to have to wait for quite a while for this update to come out so that they can do their annual declaration, which is a bit of a disappointment. Do we know when other softwares are planning to launch anything, Aaron? Have you heard anything?
No news I can think of. I mean, it's interesting that they're still using, HMRC APIs and stuff as the excuse. And maybe there's some truth to it. I'll say maybe there's obviously something around that. But I imagine it's because
I think it's just I just think it's the blame game, because there's 4 products there that are successfully doing it.
But it depends on which way you're going to do it, right? Like you could say, I want the whole solution ready. So it could be a case that at the moment you can't submit dividends, for example, or you can't, anything outside what the four quarters. I remember as a beta user myself, I could do my not beta, my alpha user as MTD. I was encouraged to submit my quarterly updates. I wasn't allowed to submit my end of year because I had stuff outside of those quarterly updates to declare, right? And I know that was a sticking point for a long, long time. So could it be that the other solutions have been like, well, until it's fully ready, like until we can submit a full tax return, then there's there's no point kind of trying it? Or are they struggling to find users on the beta that fit into the criteria of, you're ready to submit now, sort of thing? That's the that's the only thing I can kind of put out there as reasons to why it wouldn't have been done. But you're right. Like, congratulations to Free Agent. Like, every single one of them is a great, like all 57 of them is crucial data for us at this point, isn't it? And that gives them that opportunity. It's like in the Formula One, right? Like, Mercedes have got the best engine at the moment, so and they're getting crucial data to improve and everything else. And I think that's what Free Agent, we know, are going to do on that, aren't they? They're going to take that and they're going to take that lead, and they're going to work on UI, and they're going to work on ways to extract better and all that sort of stuff, right? And as I keep saying, that's what we wanted from MTD.
Yeah, I think what we need here is to dispel some myths. So if any of the team from Free Agent, who we know listen in and listen back regularly to our episodes, and we love you for that, if you would like to reach out to myself or Aaron and just clarify if is there any known issues? Is there parts of the APIs that don't work yet? Or are software vendors who haven't done this pointing fingers where there's no finger to be pointed? So if we take like MTD VAT and MTD agent authorization, for 5+ years, fingers were pointed at HMRC saying, oh, well, there's no API. Well, actually, Engage approved there clearly was, because we went and built into it and used it straight away. So is it just an easy excuse, or is it genuine? So Free Agent team, if you are listening in and want to reach out to us and help us do a bit of fact finding and a bit of myth busting and call out your competition if they are being liberal with the truth, shall we say, then we would love to hear from you to find that out.
Just on that though, like it, for me, wouldn't it be interesting kind of to understand like it, because you mentioned there about how Engager was the first one to do the MTD agent authorization, right?
Yeah.
But and like I don't want to like give anyone a free ride on this, but in fairness, you guys really struggled because of terminology, right? And having to go, you had to bring
Yeah.
like the best of the accounting side and the best of the tech side to make this work, right?
Yeah.
It was terminology and all that sort of stuff where HMRC were confusing matters by like changing the terms of stuff like from one to another and all that sort of stuff. Hey, is that what's happened here? Has Free Agent kind of cracked the code sort of idea, and the APIs are actually live, but in a different terminology and a different, that could also be part of it, right? Where HMRC haven't stuck by their traditional APIs and their traditional terminology, and they've created whole new ways of doing it. And we want them to bring fresh APIs to the table because that's where we're going to have a better experience and everything else. But if it's the terminology that's changed again, could that be a reason why we're seeing these delays?
Potentially, yeah. So Kirsty says very disappointing to wait, especially for CIS people that might be expecting refunds.
Very good point.
But you're only waiting, Kirsty, if your CIS people were on the beta.
Yeah.
So
weren't they kind of discouraged to go on the beta?
I think CIS were discouraged to go on the beta in the first place because they knew that would be coming later.
Yeah.
Carol says, if 25-26 doesn't come under MTD, is this just for people who have used the MTD beta? Exactly. So what we're talking about here is the annual declaration, and that is only relevant this year to those that were on the beta in 25-26. So I'd be surprised if CIS people were on that beta and waiting, because my understanding was they were discouraged. But there will still be people out there that like to just get their tax returns in and get them like 35% of our client base have already submitted their tax return questionnaires. If I then had to turn around to them and go, sorry, we jumped the gun here. Actually, we can't file yours because our software's not caught up. That would be a problem. Now, we didn't have anyone on the beta. But yeah, so this is just relevant to the beta users who were on the beta program between 24 and 26. For Cheryl and Kirsty.
And for me, I was the beta, so I'll file it when I get time. No rush whatsoever.
Midnight on the 31st of January 2027. It'll be fine.
I generally tend to wait until I've filed everyone else's. Like, I'm normally the last on purpose. Like, it's like, right, I've got everyone else's done. I can file mine, at least in my portfolio. But yeah, I don't think I'll be doing that this year.
Right, Kirsty says, I'm stuck with Free Agent self-assessment tax return done, not the beta, not MTD, but now can't do capital gains tax on HMRC itself as a return was done by software. My understanding is you'd have put, unless it's a property capital gains, you'd have done that through the annual tax return that you filed through Free Agent.
Yeah, and this is where it's going to get really interesting for us, right? Because like MTD, we only have a limited choice of which software to file our tax returns going forward, right? With the old system, I know Kirsty's chosen to use Free Agent, and that's fine. That worked for her, but not every tax return software is going to be built the same. Not all of them are going to even offer capital gains tax. Now, I don't know if Free Agent does or doesn't or whatever.
I think it does. It does.
I'd imagine it would, but this is a great example of what we've got to worry about going forward.
Come back and just said it's property, so you wouldn't. So, Kirsty, you need to log into the HMRC MTD agent authorization area that you go in for VAT at the moment, and you need to get your client to register for capital gains for property. They send you this their reference, which is like a numbers and letters code. You put that in to get agent authorization along with the client's home postcode. That gives you a link to send to the client, and they'll click it, authorize you as the agent, and then you can file through the HMRC website. I know that for a fact because I literally did 3 of them last week, and all their tax returns have been filed using various want to use HMRC's website and came to us for the rest. The other two went through TaxCalc with no problems. So it might just be that you're trying to do the capital gains on the old, what I call the analog HMRC gateway, whereas you're meant to now do it, and you have done for a long time now, on the what I call the digital gateway, which is where you get your MTD VAT authorizations and client data, and your MTD IT authorizations and client data. So I think it's more a case of doing it in the wrong place. It's not a free agent issue at all. That.
Yeah, but that's a 90-day issue. That's for the 90-day submission, isn't it? But what I'm saying is, going forward, there are going to be software out there, I'd imagine, who's going to choose not to do like a capital gains declaration page, are going to choose not to build the, some of the other aspects of it, right? Like they're going to choose to do probably more simplified ones, and anything more complex, it's not going to be there. And that's why I keep banging on that my biggest fear at the moment is we've not been able to test these final declarations softwares, right? We can't do that. We can't evaluate ourselves, can we? We can't figure out which is the right one.
We are not going to be able to do in Xero or QuickBooks or something. Exactly. The only one where we can go, right, what can we and can't we do is free agent, Thomas Reuters, open answers, and untied. And this is why it's going to be important that regardless of where you do your MTD quarterly filing, you have a backup solution that can do everything, whether that's TaxCalc, KPM, whoever. You're going to need a backup tool here for the annual declaration, because some softwares, like you say, will turn around and go, well, we can help you with the sole trader part and maybe a bit with PAYE, but we are not going to do the dividends part. We're not going to do the capital gains part. So it's finding the right solution for for the.
They could have an asterisk, right? And we're going to have to really, really read what that asterisk is.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, I'm just checking the comments, but I think we've covered everything up to date. And then Sue says, "Good morning. I'm late. Sounds like a good wedding, Aaron, by the sounds of your voice." It was a very good wedding. Thank you. Cheryl says, so if they discouraged CIS, did they know the final declarations wouldn't be ready? No, I think they just discouraged over complexity. But final declarations are obviously ready if there's 4 solutions out there filing. And that's why we need to speak to free agent, who I will reach out to after this session, and just get some myth busting done on whether this claim about the APIs at HMRC aren't ready. Because there's obviously something ready for 57 returns to be filed through free agent on the new system.
And to clarify, it wasn't HMRC discouraging it. It was actually the software vendors going, I wouldn't recommend it for this scenario, that scenario, because we're not going to be ready in time, right? It was a discouragement. Like for me, I was discouraged to use a particular software because I had multiple income streams. It's like, well, I wouldn't use these guys, full transparency. I wouldn't, do your beta on here because we're not confident that that's going to be ready in time, sort of a scenario, right? So that's what we mean by discouragement. It was the software vendors themselves, because to be in the beta, you had to talk to the softwares, you had to have that relationship with them and talking to them. And there wasn't many of us in the beta, so it was quite one-to-one. And at that point, they would normally say, look, in your scenario, don't put this one on, but these are perfect for it. That sort of idea.
Yeah, and because I had multiple incomes, I know QuickBooks quite early on. I mean, this was years ago. QuickBooks and HMRC both said not yet, but this was like 3+ years ago. Like neither were ready for that. But I will do some digging after this. I'll take some homework away and try and get to the bottom of what's going on with the APIs. And Kirsty says, oh, thank you. So there we go, Kirsty. We have helped you out today. Right. Moving on from free agent filing annual declarations, free agent have also announced another new release, which is their landlord statement extraction. So this is making a very compelling product for landlords now. When you take the fact that you've got if they bank with RBS, NatWest, and Metal, so you go with Metal because that's a free banking solution. Then you go with free agent because that's the free product with Metal. And then free agent can take a load of effort out of yours and my time as the accountants and bookkeepers to input and read landlord statement extractions. That is a very compelling case now. To do that. Now, I know Zero were telling me the other day that they're working on this as well to get this done, and they're expecting it this summer, I think they were saying. It's interesting the focus on landlords and the statement extraction issue is finally coming to light, which has been a vein of our industry for far too long. But yeah, so great news from Free Agent, the fact that they've launched that, and it makes a very compelling MTD solution from both the accountants and the bookkeepers and the taxpayers' point of view for Free Agent to be the right choice for landlords. Any other thoughts on that, Aaron?
No, it's great news. I mean, the extraction thing, I think they were the first one to successfully get the extraction was, but basically after that, it's been really quiet, hasn't it? Like, we've not had many people try and
done it. I believe they've done it quite well. I've not tested it myself.
Does it actually extract though? Because I know they had a really nice UI of being able to put it in and everything else, but I couldn't remember if it could extract or not. I haven't played around with that bit.
Might need to check on that one.
Yeah, I just know I know they've got a really like fancy way of doing it, because you could put like the percentages in, it will start doing it for you, and it was a really pro rental experience, as you'd expect, right? Like that's what you'd expect from them, being a dedicated software. And maybe we just need clarification and correction corner next week if we need to, right? But there is a good opportunity, or there is a good chance. Just as clarification, when I, as a rental owner myself, went to apply for a metal bank account, I was told I wasn't eligible because of the rental side of things. So I believe that, and it might have changed now, but I believe they did have this. They only wanted sole traders on the metal platform. But you've got NatWest, you've got all the others that you could use if you need to. But I do see the benefit here of having that metal and Free Agent for these ones, because I generally see that for landlords as being a huge boom. And they've also got the multiple income streams kind of nailed as well. They also can submit via multiple different owners as well. That's available in Free Agent, isn't it? So it is becoming a nice little tool, and I like the way that they've kind of, when you do opt for the landlord one, it does change some of the terminology. It does kind of try and make it a little bit more kind of landlord focused and everything else. So I think it's a really good solution for that one. And MTD is going to hit those sort of people more than anything else, isn't it? Because they're the ones where they just, they were so happy just to stick it all on a Excel spreadsheet at the end of the year and send you the statements. Let's be honest, but it was our job normally to extract that.
I see it almost daily in different landlord groups where they're asking, has anyone got any free software that I can use for MTD at quarterly filing? Like, they're not using it as an opportunity to enhance their insights to their financial performance or anything. They're just seeing it as an administrative burden imposed on them by law, along with all the other impositions that the government puts on landlords at the moment. So the fact that we can go around and go, go and get a metal bank account, go and get Free Agent, you've got free offering, and hopefully we can use that to educate them into the powers and of the insights of their financial data more in the future. It's a good starting point.
Yeah, definitely. And I know QuickBooks, their extraction is due as well. So at some point we'll have feature parity along all of them. I would imagine that Free Agent won't be the most seamless. From what I can tell, both Xero and QuickBooks, yes, they'll technically have those tools to do it for you, but you're still going to have to understand like the complexities of setting up all the accounts first, for example, right? Like, you're going to have to be able to say, well, this is an account that goes here on the P&L, and this goes here on the P&L. Do you know what I mean? Like, and if a new line is appeared, you're still going to have to then map that to go. From what I can tell from Free Agent, they've kind of already got their chart of accounts set up ready, and it should be much more of a seamless interaction with it going forward.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Ashley says, good morning, cool friends. I missed the beginning. What's up with Aaron's voice? Aaron and I were at a wedding, and Aaron was in charge of the party, which meant he was singing and dancing far too much, and he's still recovering from his voice.
Or
24
not
hours
enough. Maybe I didn't dance and sing enough, or dance enough and then I sang too much. Maybe that's where I went wrong.
Maybe it's all about the ratios.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, we've had a bit of a busy week in the tech world of cameras. And last week, Aaron and I sat here going, DJI Pocket 4, if you guys want to get into blogging and vlogging and bit of video capture, your TikToks and your Instagram and your YouTube shorts, the Pocket 4 is coming out. It's going to be a great purchase. Go get it. Having said that, in the last 4 days, things are not as clear as they were.
Yeah.
So hold off on the Pocket 4. So DJI released the Pocket 4, which is one of the most popular cameras. Like Aaron and I have got them, and the Pocket 3, and you'd have seen us walking around with it. They're the ones with the little camera on the gimbal at the top. Very popular pieces of kit. So DJI, as expected, launched the Pocket 4 last week, and then teased at the end about the Pocket 4 Pro coming. And it's like, oh, hold on. Because I already said last week the Pocket 4 doesn't really interest me. I don't think it's a big enough upgrade to justify. If you haven't got one and you're using your phone, yes, the Pocket 4 is going to be the right choice. Last week, this would have been. Whereas if you already got the Pocket 3, I didn't really see a huge reason to upgrade to the Pocket 4 from what we heard. Now I'm curious about the Pocket 4 Pro and whether that's going to justify an upgrade. So I'm already sat there going, what do we advise? And then Insta360 have released a load of videos in the last few hours of their answer to the DJI Pocket 3, Pocket 4 option. Now, it's not on their website yet. It's like we don't know a release date yet for this. But Insta360, for those that don't know, are the cameras that Aaron and I use as webcams. We use their webcams. Aaron, you've got their meeting AI camera tool that sits in your conference meeting room that you've done some videos on the channel for in the past as well. So we know and we rate the video quality of the Insta. So all of a sudden we're like, well, hang on a minute, what's our recommendation? So yeah, I mean, Aaron, you saw the video. I've not seen the video properly for the Insta option yet, but thoughts?
Yeah, this puts a bit of a spanner in the works for anyone who is looking to go down that route. Because, and what excites me about this is we go back to the old school days of, is PlayStation or Xbox better? Which one's the right one for you? You know, and you were going through and like everything else, and those arguments have died recently, right? Like most of them are pretty much feature parity to one another. Most of the kind of software is the same on each one. So it's very rare that we kind of get these, and we had the same with Apple versus Android, right? Like it's iPhone or Android was better. But again, when you're testament to that, you were happy to ditch the iPhone and move to Android for, was it 12 days or something or whatever that you went through. So, you know, it's kind of nice to have these kind of this world where we're having a bit of a dogfight between two, you know, competing for the same type of camera, right? But I would say, given the track record, you're always a little bit nervous, aren't you, when you're going for something that is new to market? You know, it's almost like the first one's a bit of a beta, like what can they get right, what they can get wrong. But saying that, what Insta360 can bring to this table is that technology that I already see in that boardroom experience that you said, right? Like the tracking and the able to bring that all into play is next level stuff at our price point. There was always like really, really high end expensive stuff by like what's it called? CIOX, whatever it is, and all those and then you've got like even Logitech's got high end ones, and there was all those like really expensive, you know, 10 grand plus solutions that you could have, and yeah, they're really good. And you'll go to like your Intuits and your Sages and your Zeros world, and they'll have a couple of them dotted around. They're cool to kind of play around with and experience and stuff like that. But for our price point, the Insta360 for me is unbeatable, untouchable, right? If you want a solution you can stick in a boardroom, captures all those and AI transcripts, all that sort of good stuff, absolutely brilliant. So I'm hopeful, and again, we're basing this on a 3-minute video that came 3 hours ago, right? So with very little to go on. But if they can take that technology and have that there, suddenly we've got a solution we could just easily just have to capture us on stage or capture us in a impromptu boardroom meeting or like a live meeting or something. Do you know what I mean? Like it gives us that flexibility. And if they can nail that side of things, I think that's where suddenly this becomes interesting. Insta360 also have this, and I you know, it's and ahhing if it's worth it or not, but there is a subscription model to their backup solution. So the idea would be that second it hits Wi-Fi and second that it's in a safe environment, it'll just offload that information directly into the cloud for you, right? And that's a nice feature that I think improves workflow, makes things easier, make sure you're safely backing up that data and all that sort of stuff, good stuff that comes with it. Yeah. So I think that's a nice like bonus to it. We don't know if that subscription will be compatible or not, but for my 360 cameras, brilliant. Like literally I have that confidence the second that I'm back in a Wi-Fi environment that it knows and loves, then it's backed up. I don't have to worry about it. And again, from a workflow point of view, anyone else can jump in and grab that information. So I think that's interesting. The fact it's got two cameras opens up possibilities, right? You've got different focal lengths, you've got different zoom options, all that sort of stuff should be cool. The other benefit I've got for it is that if I look at what DJI did before, so remember the craze of having the phone gimbal? Everyone seemed to get one at one point, right? Well, it was only DJI that was doing that for a long time, and then there was like some other third party not say third, but other lesser known brands were building their own and stuff. But it was just the DJI one was the only one you could really opt for. But since then, Insta came out, their first product to the market, and they absolutely nailed it. And I even swapped from a DJI phone gimbal to the Insta one instantly, and that's the one I've been using ever since. Right? They thought about it in terms of things like NFC and all that lot, where you can quickly pair it. It has a really cool solution where you pull out at the bottom and it comes in the tripod's already built in. And there was all these other they knew what they were doing. They saw kind of the DJI solution and they've found ways to make it better. So I'm confident that they're going to have something that's not just going to be a pure beta experience. It's going to be plagued with issues and problems. Like they've shown enough to kind of warrant that. I'd say my only other thing on, buying decision wise is the microphone. So what DJI will always have up their sleeve and what they've done so well for so long is their audio and their external microphones are just industry leading, aren't they? In Rode, probably the only ones that can kind of say they've got a better, that kind of microphone that you can have, that lapel style that you attach to yourself. So that's about the only thing that I think would be kind of one of those, ooh, is that going to be the same question? But again, if Insta360 could possibly bring in the same technology that's in that Wave that that I use in that boardroom environment, so it's not just about single person audio, it's about multi audio and being able to find it out and then move between who's speaking and all that sort of stuff. That to me could be really exciting, right? Like, you're on a panel, and I'm not saying that it can do this, but I could bring my Wave and it could do it for me, right? You're on a panel at an event, right? You could have it stuck there and it could easily go between who's speaking and recording and all that sort of stuff, right? That makes it really easy if you get content out, to G up that panel, to kind of get people excited about it and everything else. Because we've got the technology to have multiple cameras or whatever it's going to be, or we can have a wide and we could kind of go in all that sort of stuff. But we're in a world where we want to strike while the iron's hot, don't we? So having gear that can help us be able to quickly turn that content around, I think is quite interesting and quite thingy. And back to what our conversation was last week for our Cool Friends episodes, I think this could be a perfect, like we've still got a DJI freeze, they're not going anywhere. This could be a perfect complementary one for another part of it to kind of capture those extra bits. And I think that's where, to me, it gets really exciting. So yeah, I'm going to be doing what I normally do, waiting for videos, watching as many videos as I can, and making an informed decision that way.
Sounds good to me. I think, yeah, it's put a pin in it, hold off, if you need a new camera instantly, then yes, the Pocket 4 is available now, and that's the one I'd go for. But if you can hold off a few weeks, maybe a month or two, while the Pro 4 and the Insta option come out, I think you have a really good variety of choice to look at what's going to work best for you. So yeah, definitely. Right. Now we're going to spend the next 25 minutes talking about AI. Don't turn off though, guys, because this is really important. There's some interesting stuff happening. So last week, Claude released a new update, which included what is Claude 4.7. We were on 4.6 before, so usual marketing gimmicky plugs there. It's faster, it's cleverer, it's more powerful than the previous version, which these point something integration updates always are, which is fantastic. That's never a bad thing. But more importantly, last week, Claude Cowork left the beta option and is now on general release. Why is that important? Well, in beta, Claude and OpenAI products don't generally have all the same security permissions and restrictions and controls as something in general release does. So whilst asking Claude to go into my downloads folder and organize it into folders and structures is one thing, which it does incredibly well, by the way, I would never have loaded up clients' accounts and financial data in Cowork while it's in beta. Whereas now it's on general release, it has the same security permissions, etc., as Claude Chat, which basically means if you're on the Teams product, it's a safer environment to use. Now, Cowork works off your own device. Okay, so it works off your laptop or your PC. So yes, it has access to the web to pull in data and to learn from. It has access to plugins and stuff to help analyze data and create PDFs and stuff. But ultimately, the main security risk of Cowork really is your own device. So if someone can hack into your device, they've guessed your password or overridden the biometric checks or whatever you've got, then Cowork is a security risk. But from a external point of view, without the laptop or the PC and access to it, its security is now on par with the rest of the Claude suite, which makes for an interesting couple of weeks ahead for you and me, Aaron, because we will be looking forward to testing that. And basically, Cowork is where you can set it up to do something on your laptop or on your PC. It takes control of the screen and stuff, and it does it while you go and make a coffee or you go and have a bite to eat. So you're becoming more efficient. So yeah, I'm looking forward to testing this. I mean, have you played with it properly yet? Have you come up with some, actually, this is an amazing way to use it and will really help your firm?
Yeah, so not kind of, because I've not had the confidence to do anything work related with it yet, but like just testing the waters, figuring out what it is. Yeah, been playing with it for a long time, since it was introduced. I would also shout out to their YouTube channel. I feel like OpenAI is brilliant at those long form, quick, meetings, announcements, wasn't it? Right, like they'll get one in, get one hyped up, get one excited, and it was that. Oh, and this is released today, sort of thing. I think Coworks is definitely more of an opportunity to be able to, or sorry, their YouTube channel is more of a quick, short, like 3-minute bursts of, have you thought about doing it with this? What about this one? What about that one? Which I think is going to have a much better opportunity for people to go, now the penny's dropped. That's what I'm going to be using this solution for. Yeah. So I feel like that's been really good. But I mean, I've got it. I haven't installed it on my main computer yet. It's on like a separate computer. that I've kind of locked down, and it's kind of done all that sort of stuff with. Again, just to put it through its paces, see what it can do, see what it can't do, and sort of stuff. And for now, I'm pretty happy with doing it that way. Maybe I can, on that computer, give it access to a little bit more stuff now that we've got this more clarity over security, and I can kind of piecemeal together what it can and can't do. But what gives me confidence on this is just how much further Claude has come over the last 6 weeks, 7 weeks. It's been the pace of updates and the pace of change has been really well. And maybe we'll go on to kind of use cases for the general Claude and the general ChatGPT, what we're using for later down the line. I think that'd be a good bit to go into the topic. But Cowork itself, now that I've got the shackles a tiny little bit released, that's when I'm going to start playing around with it a little bit more.
Cool. So Cheryl's just asked actually in the comments, are you preferring Claude to ChatGPT, or do you use both for different tasks? So I think what we need to take as employers and stuff is here, like, you need to treat each chat bot kind of AI tool separately, like you would a staff member. If you had 4 staff members in front of you, you would know which task to give to which one based on their skill set, their personality type, etc. So ChatGPT, I still get it to do a lot of my, like, if I want to do a leaflet designing or something, I go to ChatGPT or Gemini. If I want like ChatGPT, Claude, they're both fairly good at coming out with analytics over accounts and stuff like that. They're both good at deep research and stuff like that. But if I was to give ChatGPT and Claude, say, a set of accounts and say, I want you to write a report on these accounts. So let's say one of your services is a review of a client's accounts when they come to you from a previous provider, and you want to come up with a nice report about that. ChatGPT will give you a stream of information. But Claude will give the same information, but it creates a PDF document and makes it very professional looking and stuff, and gives you a Word version and a PDF. And so, yeah, it's working out the strengths and weaknesses of each, like you would a team of employees. And that's really the key. So, like, you know, if it's general, I'm struggling to find a use case for Gemini. I'm really struggle with Gemini and its outcomes, but I also don't use it enough for it to have learnt me. So that's probably part of the reason. And that is the other challenge. You can't just go, I'm going to use ChatGPT today and then I'm going to use Claude tomorrow. If you're moving, you need to train them. Like, you need to bring, like, so I now use Claude for pretty much 95% of all my work. But to do that, I put a instruction into ChatGPT saying, create a document listing everything you know about me so that I can train another AI tool based on what you already know about me. And it did that. I pasted that into Claude saying, here's all the information you need to know about me to get started. So we started teaching it from day one. But if you just go straight from one provider to another and you don't give it any information, you're going to be really annoyed and disappointed with the outcomes, because they aren't going to be as good as what you perceive ChatGPT or the previous provider to be. But yeah, they've all got their strengths and weaknesses. Gemini, I can't get on with it. Copilot, it's like, right, which staff member would you just about trust to go and make a cup of tea while everyone else is getting actual work done? And even then be disappointed that you've got 2 sugars instead of 1 sugar and they forgot the milk. So yeah, Copilot and Gemini, pretty much a write-off for me. ChatGPT, I think, has been overtaken by Claude recently. But yeah, overall, Claude is my favorite one at the moment. But as I say, I still go back to ChatGPT for certain things. Like last week, I wanted a leaflet designing, and ChatGPT came up with a better concept of this leaflet than the Claude did. I gave them both the same instruction. ChatGPT couldn't work out my branding. Even though I told it to go to my website and take the branding from there, it couldn't work it out. whereas Claude could. So what I ended up doing was I took the leaflet design that ChatGPT created for me, put it into Claude, saying, look, I've got this design idea. I want you to take that design. I want you to use all the branding, the brand colors, the logo, etc., from this website to bring this leaflet in line. And it did that. And it did it very well. But trying to get that initial design of a leaflet, it failed miserably. So I had to go to ChatGPT to get that design, to then put that in and get it properly personalized to the brand that I needed. So yeah, I mean, with all of these tools and being early adopters, you've got to accept that you're going to be fiddling around sometimes, and sometimes it's not going to be as efficient. But having said that, even that faffing around with a leaflet was more effective and efficient use of my time than sitting there trying to come up with a leaflet design in somewhere like Canva or something, where that would have required inspiration and design skills from me, which I didn't have. But yeah, have you got anything on this question?
Yeah, so for me, Claude's the one I'm having the most fun with, because that's one where I'm building things and like finding ways in which we can kind of find pain points and solve pain points. So Claude's my tool for kind of that. I'm using it as like a builder and a tool to kind of put things in. So example of that would be if we're looking for kind of migration, or we're looking to compare data sets and stuff like that, and we want a tool to help us like migrate one from another. Claude's brilliant and that sort of stuff, and it can just go away. Yeah, it may take a little bit longer, but it goes away, does what it needs to do, and it's really good at refinement. Because what I love about Claude is that when it does something, it creates it in that environment that you can then edit if you need to, and you can kind of play around with and everything else. Whereas ChatGPT is still on that thing where, yeah, it can build a relatively okay solution for you, but then it brings it as a download link and you download it, then you kind of go with it and everything else. And if you want refinement to that, there's a whole process of bringing it back in and trying to tell it what to do. So that's kind of if I'm using those two. But I've gone down so many rabbit holes at the moment. I still think I'm using ChatGPT the most, but that's mainly due to Atlas. I still love having Atlas there, and I still love having ChatGPT in Atlas. So for anyone who hasn't caught before, Atlas is ChatGPT's purpose-built browser. Do you still use it? Have you moved on?
I use it a bit, but nowhere near as much. So this is one of those things, isn't it? Like when new technology comes out, you've got to get into the habits and routines.
Yeah.
And being a Apple ecosystem, everything's been done on Safari.
Yeah.
So losing things like your password, that just a fingerprint or face scan of your password, and not having the ability to have Atlas on an iPad or an iPhone and only on a MacBook, I've just, because it's not been succinct enough, I've basically packed it in. Yeah. But yeah, once you can get that browser on the phone, the iPad, I can use it everywhere. And it's learned all my history. I've got all my passwords in there, nice and secure and stuff. Fine. I think we'll be okay. But until that happens and I'm having to swap between two browsers, it wasn't working for me.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's still quite crude technology, isn't it? But the idea that you can let Atlas just go and gather data for you, or do one of my favorite features of Atlas is because we've just finished a migration from one practice management solution to the other. You can guess where I've been to and where I've come from. That's quite easy, right? I don't really need to elaborate on that. But when you've done that, there's always going to be teething problems, right? Like, have you moved everything over right? Can we compare this to that? And just throwing the data set in and going, oh, just check for me that all the VAT numbers are present, or can you check for me that all the VAT deadline dates have been doing? Throwing those sort of tasks out has been invaluable to me, right? Because normally that'd just be a manual like sense check, right? Go down and everything else, and it's been able to do that. We've also used it for like anytime you do a migration, you spend so long, don't you, on kind of refining that data ready to import in, because you typically only get one chance to do that. You don't want to waste that opportunity and go through from there. but there's a certain time threshold that you just got to get it in there, and then the rest of it you got to manually add, right? But using that to kind of add those little bits of sprinkles and stuff for you has been the game changer. So that's what I've been using Atlas for, right? Is that screen scraping, or that, well, not screen scraping, it's a screen interaction technology type thing to come in there, especially with a solution that doesn't have an API, an external API. So it wasn't like I could opt for any other way of bringing that data in. It was either a manual process or let it go do its job and report back to me. So that's where I'm still loving it. And Atlas is still my one because it's part of my routine now, and I have it for that. It's still there, helping me kind of triage work and helping me kind of put together responses, and helping me kind of saying that, oh, you should remember we've already dealt with this sort of thing. It's really good at that sort of stuff. So ChatGPT still has a place for me. I think from a team point of view, Copilot is still the easiest one to deploy, because most of them already have it somewhere in some solution, and it's right. Well, it's a secure environment, and it's a place to have a play around with and see if you can get some results out of it. And then I still find ChatGPT an easy one to deploy to the team, just because it becomes that standard for them, right? They understand it and everything else. And X and Y may be more powerful, but from a UI point of view, from a usability point of view, ChatGPT has become the standard. So that's an easy one to deploy to the team, right? So it definitely works from that, and we want to encourage them to do it in a controlled environment. We don't want them to be going on their own personal ChatGPT, for example, right? So it's so much easier to say, look, here's a login, here's credentials, like this is what we want you to use it for, and everything else, and let's all learn together. So I think ChatGPT is winning that race, still kind of that from there. And then I think the other part of AI that I'm starting to play around with is your lovables and your gumballs and all those sort of ones, right? And they're about building applications to use and everything else. And some of those applications that I'm kind of putting out are going to be very, very specific to a particular use case for a particular client and all that sort of stuff. And good ones is like, clients will be relying on this data set here that we have access to, but we want to put it into our solutions, or we want to analyze it, or whatever it's going to be. And you can build really nice ones. And I used to just have an Excel spreadsheet that you could dump data in one and it'll come out here and blah, 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 and all that sort of stuff. But when you can get this solution to go and grab that data for you and then have it presented, or even push it into where you want to do, and it becomes a connector, that becomes absolutely like next level for you, right? Because then you can start building bespoke solution for clients, and you can start doing stuff like that. Like there's a whole world we can start playing around with in that sort of area, right? And I'm not quite seeing ChatGPT or Claude be able to replicate that for us. So we're kind of going to a other solution to do that, right? And it feels like we're in this really, like exactly what you were saying there. Like we're going to have different tools for different jobs. And it's interesting you said that about Canva, because I was watching the Canva presentation, and they released Canva 2.0 and all this and the other. They were bragging at that point that they were like the third or fourth or fifth, whatever it was, AI tool in the market at the moment, like as in people using them and people put it in. And you can kind of understand why, because that idea you said there about I had to put a leaflet in and build it in and all this and the other. Well, actually, it makes a lot more sense to just, if they, now it's 2.0 and it's much more powerful, like let it do its first initial, in Canva, but then you've got the tools to make the tweaks and change the things and put the names in. Do you know what I mean? Like we're not having to kind of go from here, refine it and go from there. It's then giving us a toolbox that we can play around with it and clean it up and everything else. So I do feel like we're gonna see a lot more kind of, I feel like we're all going, each one's going out in their own different world at the moment. Again, Claude for me is still that one I'm most excited about at the moment. It's getting me most like juices flowing in opportunities and everything else that goes with it. But I still see a place for all of them. Like I generally feel like I'm using every single one at the moment. Just to me, even Gemini, like Gemini has a place in my rotation, and that's the one that is the still the best for me for any YouTube work, analytics, all that sort of stuff, because it's part of that ecosystem, right? And it kind of brings it in. And when my main social platform is YouTube, I should really be encouraged to use the one that's best for that. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. We were saying off air, and I'm excited, but also wondering like where it's going to go. We're still waiting for that press release from Intuit and that press release from Xero to start actually becoming in product. And if everyone remembers, that was that deep integration, that deep partnership between both of them and everything else. I think we've seen them starting to appear in product. So I feel like Jax and Intuit Assist have started to become way, way, way better because they're starting to lean on those other models and start to kind of build it from there. But I still think the secret sauce is when our ChatGPT or our Claude will be able to grab that data and bring it in. I think that's going to be some really interesting use cases when that's the case.
Definitely. Now, speaking of bringing in data from Xero and QuickBooks, Perplexity AI, which for anyone that's not aware, Perplexity is like an AI machine that is actually it powers itself from Claude or OpenAI, ChatGPT, but then tries to do its own thing as well. It's a bit of a middle ground kind of guy. They announced last week that they've got a new integration for QuickBooks and for Xero, so you could audit your clients' books using Perplexity. Now, having announced that, those web pages are no longer available. So whether this is announced and they've realized there's an issue, I don't know. But I think between that and the announcements we've got from QuickBooks and Xero and stuff, I think as an accountants and bookkeepers, what we need to accept is that we need to learn how to use these tools. Like this is like Excel coming along and accountants and bookkeepers going, we won't need Excel. Don't worry about that. We'll stick with our paper ledgers. That'll be fine. Or you sat there with your abacus and 3 people next to you using calculators when they first came out. Like, we need to embrace these tools as an industry to find the value and to find the opportunity that is within them that will allow us to deliver more highly valuable services, deliver more profitable services, potentially spin off and develop new services for our firm that we've not done before. But yeah, there's been a lot of talk in the news about, like, there was a well-known podcaster in America who went on this Perplexity saying they're targeting accountants and bookkeepers, blah, blah. It's like, well, no, they're giving, like, you wouldn't say QuickBooks is targeting accountants, and well, you might with QuickBooks, so because they've got their own service offering in America, but by launching a tool that will make lives easier for accountants and bookkeepers isn't necessarily targeting them in a bad way. The only people that will be feel targeted are those that are not prepared to adopt this new technology. But then Monzo Bank, their chief or something said that they don't think income tax will be a thing. And, in 5 years' time. And actually, what they were talking about wasn't about accountants and bookkeepers. When you actually listen to the whole conversation, it was income tax will not be an effective way of getting tax revenues into the governments in the future. And the governments are going to have to start thinking of how to tax people through different methods. And we've seen this over generations and centuries. Like, at one point, you got taxed based on the amount of windows you had in your house because that was seen as a sign of wealth because glass was expensive. At one point, you got taxed based on the amount of your assets were worth. Well, actually, that doesn't equal liquid cash. And that's why we saw so many big houses and stuff fall into either disrepair or get picked up by the National Trust and the government to support them. So the way taxes are applied has changed. Income tax was only a thing since the 80s. The way a nation taxes its residents, then that evolves, and that's what Monzo were actually saying there is income tax will become an ineffective way of taxing. It won't generate enough revenue as AI becomes more and more prominent in the workplace. So their suggestion was that actually it's the AI vendors that will need to be taxed to generate the missing revenues from income tax. But there's a lot of fear mongering out there, and I think as an industry we need to cut out that noise as an industry, we need to stop magnifying that noise ourselves and amplifying it. And actually, we need to be looking at all these tools and trying to stay up to date and trying to keep current with it all. And we need to be trying to implement the best AI in our practices in a safe and responsible manner to make sure that we are delivering the best services and insights to our clients.
Yeah. And just to add on that, the reason that I think they got so upset about the perplexity and all that sort of stuff was the prompts that it was generating. It was like generating, prepare my 2025 tax return and maximize my 2025 tax deductions as a small business owner. And I'm thinking, if that's what we're worried about is the prompts it's saying, that we're in a real pickle, right? Because those prompts are going to be there, and less kind of AI savvy will be kind of drawn towards it, but anyone could put a prompt in for anything at this point, right? That's just going to be a skill set that the next generation are going to absolutely nail, aren't they? They're going to know what prompts to use and when, right? We're at the prefaces of learning what prompt to use and how to use them and all that sort of stuff, aren't we? And the next generation are just it's going to be second nature to them.
Yeah, and ultimately, a client emailed me last week saying, "Oh, thanks for my accounts. I've put them through ChatGPT because I don't really understand them, and it's flagged that you've given me too much dividends because I've taken more dividends than I made profit that year." It's like, yes, but your retained earnings is enough.
Yeah.
At which point he went, "Oh." It's like, yeah, this is why we don't trust AI completely, guys. This is all right, it's a sensible choice to try and understand your accounts that your accountant's put forward. But actually, if you'd just asked the accountant, they would have explained it all to you.
Yeah.
Actually, we need to make sure we're ready to tackle the increased usage from our clients, because they're going to use it whether we want to or not. And we need to be ready to deal with the outcomes of that.
Definitely.
Right. Well, that brings us up to 9:32. So we are overrunning, and I've got to go and find and have some breakfast. So I will leave you all to it. Aaron, what have you got on this week apart from recovering that voice of yours?
I've got a trip down to London. I believe it's this week. Yeah, I've got a trip down to London, haven't I? I'm going to go see the guys at Adfin, and I'm trying to make sure it's the right week that I've got this, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. I go see the guys at Adfin and Fin.io, talking all things cool with them, so I'm looking forward to that. So yeah, back on the train yet again, and I believe it's this week as well that I have I've got my Selling Additional Services the Easy Way podcast to go through, a webinar with Sam and Andy North as well, so I'm looking forward to that. That'll be a good one.
Yes.
And I'm getting my recording in for the Just One Click podcast over at MTD Therapy and all those people. So yeah, quite a busy week of that, of kind of getting onto content and everything else. So looking forward to it.
Fantastic. I'm taking it easy. I'm traveling back up north on Wednesday, working Thursday, Friday. I've got a busy week the following week, so I'll take advantage of the time where I've got it. But yeah, brilliant. Well, thank you very much to everyone that's joined us. As always, a huge thank you to our Patreon supporters. If you want to be able to support the channel and get some bonus content at the same time, then make sure you join the Patreon community using the links in our comments. And we will see you all the same time, same place next week.
Bye.
Bye-bye.